Alexis Pickering, you are back.
I'm back.
You are back. How are you?
I'm great.
Fantastic.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for making the trip out here, especially in such a short time frame. You and I obviously connected a bit back about, public lands and whatnot. And there has been a large development on the national level on public lands, specifically referring to 3 million acres, I believe, of public lands, part of which is in the state of Idaho, and the disposal from the public lands roll sheet to private or state parties. I asked you to come in to fill me in on this because I'm an idiot and you're not, so go.
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Not going to accept that last bit, but so basically these things tend to keep happening in like the shroud of the midnight hour, basically. But late last night, Utah Senator Mike Lee introduced the new U.S. Senate budget reconciliation bill. And in that bill was 5 like really bad things as it relates to public land. So it does include 2.2 to 3.2 million acres of public lands within the BLM or the National Forest Service to be disposed of and sold off. So, and that includes Idaho. The funny thing in that carve out was Senator Mark Daines from Montana. He's been working with Senator Mike Lee on this, and Montana was spared, but not Idaho. Yes.
Wasn't Zinke from Montana the one? Public lands and public hands?
He's on the House side.
Yeah, House.
So
right,
that's
different.
But yes, yeah. So same with Simpson, right? Our guy Mike Simpson's he got it taken out of the last cycle because they had 500,000 acres on the House side. Zinke and Simpson were successful in getting rid of that after all the public outcry, and Senator Mike Lee in Utah stuck it back in and then increased it. And then on top of that, they made sure that out of those 3.2 million acres, there would not be a public process to that disposal. That's fun. And then the other one.
Back up.
Mm-hmm.
Not a public process, meaning this wouldn't be a public auction, you wouldn't have public input about where it goes. And to be clear, when you say, okay, a couple things real fast. Let's just say 3 million acres. Okay. Yeah. I know it's plus or minus. And when you say the 3 million acres in BLM or Forest Service, to be clear, the Bureau of Land Management doesn't own land. The Forest Service doesn't own land. These are entities that are managing publicly owned land. This is our land, and they're managing it for us. Right. So it's not like there was some confusion in the city of Eagle about there was an ordinance written, any land owned by the BLM, you can't do X, Y, or Z on. It's like BLM doesn't own land. They don't own anything. We own land. They just manage it. They manage it. So, and you're saying with this public land that you and I both own and the Bureau of Land Management or the Forest Service manage for us and we pay them for it, right? We won't even have a say on where this goes.
No.
Okay, so where would it go?
I think that's really unclear to us. So, I mean, right now, this whole budget reconciliation process is very complicated. Most Idahoans and Americans don't have the bandwidth to know that this is even happening right now. So the fact that they're even going a step further and not even creating a process to which we could weigh in is really damning. So that's not great. Another one was that, and this is something that our own Senator Risch, actually, he was a huge champion of this in like creating areas of our public land, because there's huge parts of Idaho that's actually somewhat frontier. Like there's some huge untouched, beautiful places that don't have roads. Typically, this is where we go and hunt, right? Hunt or fish, you fly in, right? Do those types of things. Even those parts of our public lands in Idaho would not be spared from this sell-off. And that's something that particularly Senator Risch was very huge in, making sure that those roadless areas are protected.
And that's when his roadless rules were a vestige from his time as governor in 2008, correct?
Correct. Look at you.
I just like some things rattling around up there.
Look at that.
So is he, I mean, he's one of our senators. Like, is he a fan of this?
I don't know. We haven't heard from him, to be honest.
So so this happened last night. That was Wednesday night. Today's Thursday.
Yep.
Okay. And Wednesday night, this guy proposes this as a reconciliation. So this doesn't pass the Senate yet.
It hasn't, but they're all hearing it right now.
Okay.
Like this, that's the thing. It's like it's like they didn't get their hand slapped hard enough the first time. Like they literally tried this in the House. We got it out of the budget reconciliation. It went back over to the Senate. And, luckily we have Representative Simpson, Representative Zinke, as the ones trying to hold this as a red line. Like this is, we're not going to compromise on this. We have yet to see that same type of public support for our public lands from our senators at the U.S. side. So
Senator Crapo, what is his position on all of these things?
I don't know. I mean, we've been having some really good talks with him, and I know that he sees public lands, there's a huge challenge in reality that if they were to transfer to the state, they would likely be sold. 40% of our state lands have already been sold off. So I think he understands that. I think we're really concerned that he hasn't been more public about his support for public lands and this heritage and legacy that is Idaho. And I think it's really fascinating and damning that we have someone like Utah Senator Mike Lee, who I would actually it's probably a little harsh language, but I think it's a bit of he's like kind of being a traitor to our Western way of life. And this is something that is something so sacred to who we are as Idahoans and what makes us stay here, grow our families here, all those things, recreate, hunt, fill our freezers, all the things. So I think we wouldn't be able to recognize the state that we live in or this part of the country that we live in if it was to be sold off and this type of action and this budget as it stands today be passed.
Honestly, the thing that to that end, let's make the gross assumption that if the state or, if we as the public lost public lands, there would not just be condos everywhere. Okay, I'm not saying there wouldn't be condos in some of those areas, but let's just say there's not going to be condos everywhere. The thing that I keep coming back to is, okay, well, what if it were me? Like, what if I had the ring of power? I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to buy.
If you were a multi-billionaire from New Jersey.
Like, I had the billionaire ring of power, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, like me and my bro here, it's not going to be my brother because he's a jerk. But the point is, like me and my imaginary, well, I am an imaginary billionaire. So like my imaginary cool brother, both are likely, as equally likely, cool brother and billions. Anyway, so the point is if I were that person, what would I do? And I was like, oh, I'd preserve it. It's like, yeah, of course.
That's you, Matt.
No, but you're not listening to the rest of the story because it would be preserved for me. Like for sure, I'd be like, oh, this is my yard.
Cute.
You can't come in here.
Yep. Right.
And if I did let people in and then they like trashed it, I'd be like, dude, get the hell out. And I would feel justified in doing this. I'm like, they trashed it. They like drove on the roads when they weren't supposed to. They leave all this litter, all these things. And by the way, now that's mine, there's no public maintenance of this area. So now I'm like, what? I bought this, I pay property tax, and now I have to like come out of pocket to clean up your mess? No, the public's off of it. This is in my dumb head. And it's like, oh, I would for sure do that. I could see myself doing that. So it's almost like we, in the absence of this preservation in the public arena, I do believe it would be preserved, however you want to use that word. In the private arena, it would just be private. It would literally be like Jurassic Park. Like they'd have to have discount days where us Poe people could like go in and see the Wild West. And they're like outside of like every, third Thursday of every odd month, you don't get to come in here. This is ours. And it's like, I don't want that. That sounds terrible.
Well, and Matt, I think that's like the best case scenario. Like we're already
the third Thursday of every second. Like they probably wouldn't throw us the third
that's like
Thursday.
Cute. That's like a charity case. Like cute. Yeah. We'll let the peasants come.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what it would be. They would probably have some kind of integration with like field trips with public schools. So they could like they preserve the old house and they do like museum trips. And the rest of the time it's like, no. Now we just use this for ourselves. And it's like us and our billionaire friends. And like no shade on people who made a lot of money. I'm glad I'm Great. You made a lot of money. That doesn't mean you should own our public land.
Right. There's oodles of private land folks can buy, and they are doing that, right? We're seeing that, through, private equity firms or whatever, right? They're gobbling up all of our farmland. They're purchasing all these housing developments, right? We're already seeing that. So But I think the scenario that you just described is obviously, in my mind, a best case scenario, which it's still terrifying. But we already can look at what the Wilkes brothers did in Valley County. Like
What?
they shut it down. They shut down public roads that gained access to their private lands. They obviously did resource management, logging, whatever. They explored what types of other things they could do with very little regard for how that would disrupt the ecosystem. They now are proposing a huge development, right? That would be, I think, what did they say? Like thousands of homes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, giddy up.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I like that you're like, oh, yeah, this isn't great, but that's also like just the tip of the iceberg because we're already seeing what's happening when they do buy up all this land.
Okay. But how about the worst case scenario, or worse than that? If there's no process for the public to give input, are there any restrictions for foreign governments purchasing this? Like, could the
totally.
CCP just come on in and be like, I'll take 1 million acres?
Yeah. Or Russia being
Whatever.
like, yeah, I'll take some of Alaska. Where we have like all of our military stuff. Like that makes a lot of sense, right? I'm sure that they'll say that there's some rule against that. But I mean, there's just
They're already doing it.
They're already doing it.
They're
They're already
already
doing
like
it.
contemporary. Like, first off, Syngenta is owned by the Chinese. That's our strategic seed supply, right? Like, okay, fine. Like, somebody's got to own it. And look, smarter minds than me have said, hey, we should at least consider this. Representative Ted Hill was like way against that. He's really hawkish about foreign ownership of land or strategic companies. Yeah, but it just seems, so let me ask you something. I was informed during the legislative session by somebody, a representative who said, look, man, here's the deal. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. Whatever. Like, I don't know. He's like, this is the deal. He's like, we always throw out crazy things to run smokescreen for other people. So, for instance, you said, hey, they already tried the 500,000 acres and that got shot down. Mm-hmm. And it almost seems like this is so egregious and it's so out there that it's like, wait, that people are going to lose their minds over this. And my thought immediately went to, it's not going to pass. So one of two things. One, well, I mean, let's say we hope.
We cannot
make the assumption.
We cannot make the assumption when something like this is at stake.
We should act as if there's a possibility that
1,000%.
Okay, great. We should do that. But I also think we should consider what else is happening while we're all looking at this. Okay. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that's happening while we all lose our minds over 3.2 million acres. It's like, what did they slip through? Right. And are you just using this as a bargaining chip for the other thing that you actually want, which is like, you are going to get enough people to threaten this and then be like, I'll let this go, but give me this other thing. That's what I'm worried about. Cause that was described to me. That's kind of how Idaho politics works. Yeah. And if you look at some of the crazier bills from this last session, they went through like 3 or 4 iterations and they're like, yeah, we knew the first and second wouldn't pass. We wanted the third one, but we didn't come out with the third one. We just threw these other things out there and waited. And it's like, that's a real rose-colored, like, oh, there's a plan here, But
see, I think that is very true, right? That's like politics 101. There's like it's a chess game, right? But at the end of the day, I think what certain elected folks miss the boat on at times is they still think it's a game. This is not a game. Like these are our public lands that have been here since the beginning of time. We have had access to them since the beginning of time. This is a non-starter, and it always has been, and nothing's changed, but they are thinking that it's changed. So there's so many of us that I think also that usually tune out, that just assume that these lands are going to always be protected. And Senator Mike Lee, Daines in Montana, they are eyeing this. Like, there's no reason why they would not just bring it back, but up it if they weren't serious about finding a way to make this happen.
So what do?
We fight.
How do we do that?
We call Senator Crapo, Senator Risch, call them today, call them this weekend, email them at Conservation Voters for Idaho. We have a link on our website. You can send them an email. Last time we did the rally in March, we had 500 people call Senator Crapo's office. We had thousands of emails, and they were like, holy smokes, we get it. So obviously we need to do that again, because we cannot let them assume that, one, we're asleep at the wheel, or two, that we're just going to let this happen, because Idaho as we know it would change forever. The things that I grew up doing with my grandfather and my dad, the places that I've been able to see and experience, like, this is personal for us. Not just me, for you, for all of Idahoans. So we need to communicate that. Like, now's the time, because it should not be a bargaining chip.
Man, I have a lot of appreciation for that.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Cheers. Okay. Call, email, make it happen.
Do it. Takes 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes.
Do it. God bless it.
Yeah.
Listen, I know you're on a time crunch today. Is there anything we've missed about what's happening right now?
I think there's a couple other nuances within the budget reconciliation that connect to public land sell-off. But I think one that's kind of funny that I want to just flag for you is Senator Mike Lee is saying that, oh, this is going to help with our housing stock. And
It's going to help with our housing.
yeah,
Oh.
supposedly. Building homes in a roadless area sounds really likely that that's going to happen, right? But I digress. So they have actually, there's a thing in there that says that if it's going to be developed, that it has to be for affordable, I'm going to actually pull up my phone just so I can get it right, if that's okay. Because I want to get the facts right on this. It's... So sales that are limited to housing and related community needs, but then they're eligible to be sold off to anyone after only 10 years. So it's a complete bait and switch. Yeah. Like, who's going to, I mean, let's be honest. Who's going to buy, like, the view of Hell's Canyon or the, Bora Mountain or pristine hunting ground in Idaho County where I come from? It's going to be a billionaire after that 10 years is up.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. We can't afford that.
No, certainly not me. I don't know about your financial situation.
I don't think so. I think we're.
I don't know what the executive director positions are paying these days, but
of a nonprofit. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. So public hands need to stay in public hands. No to this budget reconciliation bill if public land sell-off is in that bill. And Senator Crapo and Senator Risch need to hear from us.
God bless it. I'll pop up their contact on the screen, so hopefully people can get after it.
They want to hear from you. They do.
Thank you for coming in. Thanks for making the time. I know it's a working day for you. Let's do it again.
That sounds great. Thanks, man.